Welcome to episode 3 of Your Story Matters, where you can leave the bullshit at the door and be you. I'm your host, Sean Nishis. Today I'm here with Josh Harmon. So I just want to let the audience know that we had some technical difficulties in the first 7 minutes of this video, and we are going to transition into a little bit farther part in the video where we're talking about basic training. The only thing that was missed was about him in his beginning stages of basic training and a little bit about his childhood. So let's get into this. Thank you. We had the first females who came in, and it was so it was integrated because like the combat engineers, like I think it was before like 2014, 2013 or something like that. I don't think they never like accepted it. And like there is like the first round for the combat engineers and stuff like that, and like it was pretty interesting. Like it was sure. Like they had their own bay. They had like it was interesting. It was they were trying to figure out how to integrate it, and they're constantly trying to figure that stuff out. And I remember some of the fun times in basic when I was like I think one of the best memories, and I mentioned this on one of my other podcasts, is so Drill Sergeant Hubler, we had a feud between Platoon 2 and Platoon 3, and he was like, I'm fed up and tired of this bullshit. Adjust your camera to show your upper body. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. They said, he was like, okay, we're going to bring you down to the yard and you guys are going to sit like military Spartan style next to each other and, well, figure it out. Beat each other up right in the middle of the yard. That shit was so funny.
Yeah,
I'm like...
kind of a similar, same line story. We were, I remember the platoon was parsed. We were all going in for our haircuts. We were actually at Camp Pendleton for second phase 2. And so, anyways, we're parked there, and another drill instructor marched his platoon. And you know, as soon as that platoon, those ranks the squad leaders started to get right there. It was game on. We were like, you did not mess with another platoon. And so I do remember that was the first time I'd ever seen a drill instructor get yelled at, because there was another, I don't know what he was, probably a first sergeant or whatever. And he's, yelling at this, these two drill instructors actually, for allowing it to happen. But it was, that was the first time that we just kind of were like, all right, these guys got my back, and I've got to have their back. And that was the first to me, that was the first test, because before it was just like, all right, don't skyline yourself and get sent to the quarterdeck to get smoked. And, just don't be last, and those type of things. And so just playing the game. But like I said, that was that first time that it was like, oh shit, these guys, we're gonna protect each other and protect the integrity of the platoon. And so for like I said, that was that first realization. So yeah, it's kind of funny that you had a similar situation.
Yeah, I was just sitting there watching it. We had fun beating each other up. I didn't have any beef with anybody, right. So it kind of like, okay, everybody's just on the ground beating each other up. And I just wanted, I would have loved to see like the conversation between that drill sergeant and like upper, like the commander and stuff like that. I would love to see that conversation, because I felt like that. I don't think that, I don't know what the procedures for that was, but I mean, hey, you want to get beef out. That's a good way to do it. And especially doing that type of stuff, you actually like create a camaraderie and actually, even though sometimes you beat up your own soldier, but it actually turns around on you and you're like, oh, well, make up and let's move forward and let's get this shit done, and yeah, that's interesting. So yeah. Talk to me. So after graduation, when you got out of basic training, what did what duty station did you go to, and what if you went out on any deployments or anything like that? Talk to me about those.
So after basic, then I came home, spent 10 days on recruiter's assistance, went back out to Camp Pendleton for Marine combat training, so MCT, So that's any non-combat arms. So in the Marine Corps, it's the '03 series, and so like um, Army equivalents would be your 11 series, 19 series, and the 18 series. Or, well, they're obviously different, but those combat arms guys. So they went to the School of Infantry. We were all part of the School of Infantry, but we just went for those that are non. I did logistics um, and operations, and so there was. But in the Marine Corps, it's different because every Marine is a rifleman. Every Marine is taught, whether you're an admin guy or you're a supply guy or a cook or an infantry guy. You're all taught how to the same tactics and how to work and integrate yourself into the infantry and the combat arms platoons. So that everyone's a basic rifleman is how we went, and so you had that. I don't know. That was I think I ended up doing like 8 weeks there because I was on mess duty for a while and then I got put on something else because I showed up and the guy it was me, another Marine, and then the guy the Marine in front of him. He was the last one to get picked up for that class. So then they're like, all right, everybody else, you guys are going to mess duty. And so then when we went through again, then it was like, all right, and so twice I got passed over for getting picked up. So I was there a little bit longer, but it is what it is. So from there, I ended up out in Marine Corps Logistics Base, Albany, Georgia, for school, and that's where my MOS school, and they they taught us how to as a logistics base. They taught us how to like load the planes and get everything ready to go for deployment purposes. And so I think I was there 12 weeks. It was one of the long. It was a much longer school than I had originally anticipated. Uh, so from there, I ended up out in back to Pendleton. So I go from Pendleton to Georgia, back to Pendleton, and I ended up with Third Battalion, Fourth Marines, um, and so which is an infantry battalion. I was with them a couple years, or like 2 years, and then I got injured. Then I ended up with Third Amphibious Assault Battalion. So, if have you seen the movie Heartbreak Ridge?
I
Clint
think I
Eastwood.
might have. I'm bad with names. This is something with me. I'm bad with names, but I probably have watched it.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
maybe if it's a very popular movie, I probably did. My dad
Yeah.
watched it a
Well,
lot of
I
times.
was just using it as a reference because the Amtraks are essentially they're just big tanks that float in the float in the water, and then they land on the beach, and then can carry troops off into. You've seen there's footages of them in Iraq. They were in Desert Storm, whatnot. So, but I was just most a lot of people that have seen that movie Heartbreak Ridge remembers that scene where they come in and they've got the big bellowing smoke as they come out of the ocean and hit the beach. So
Yeah, I think
that's kind of
it's
where I
like
was going with that. But
probably like 30 troops if I'm not mistaken, right, or something like that. And like it's kind of like that one thing where it just comes
yeah,
down and
yeah. So you got the ramp. So we can um, 25 ish. I mean, you're packed in there like sardines, but you're crammed in there. Then they'll go and then they'll do what's called the combat drop, and so they just slam the ramp down, and off they go. So we did that until November of 2000. I actually got selected. They had just started a new program to allow Marines to leave early if they were accepted into college. So the next semester would have started in January. So I got selected. So I got released in November, and then that you know so I could go back to school, which was a in my looking back at it, it's like, all right, yeah, it happened, but I wasn't ready to go back to school. Back to these
Long hours sitting in the
17, 18,
classroom.
19 year olds that have they've never been out of the state of Illinois, let alone, gone anywhere and done anything. So it's like, yeah, you're not gonna listen, kid, you're not gonna tell me, I'm at the ripe old age of 25 at that time. So it's like, just trying to deal with these civilian kids is kind of funny. So, and then, so yeah, so I spent some time, when I was with Trax, so the AAVs, I was on the Bellow Wood and the Boxer, so LPDs, so which are really cool ships. If you ever get a chance, look them up. Actually the back end of that ship opens up. They flood part of the ass end of the ship to kind of, and then you drive your tracks in vehicles, and then they raise that ramp and take the water out, and then off we go. So yes, there's LHDs too, but I was on on an LPD. Chad's in here, and he's a Navy buddy of mine, and so he's trying to correct my naval terminologies. But what's the Boxer LHD? Always thought it was an yeah, an LPD. Anyways,
So, what?
okay, well.
So,
So I stand corrected. So
so
they're LHDs. So I always thought they were LPDs. But so thanks, Chad. Yeah. So let's see where was that in that story. So yeah. So that's the end. I'm in. Then I end up in the Marine Reserves until till May of '03. No, June of '03. So I'm in the Marine Reserves. I actually had, 9/11 happened. And then I get called back in for a short period of time. And wanted to, I was like, all right, I'll stay. And then they were like, oh, hold on, we're not doing, they weren't in moving large amounts of troops or Marines at that time. It was, they were still trying to figure out what they were going to do, even at the beginning of '03. Uh, so, and stop me if you want me to circle back on any of
no,
this stuff.
no,
So then,
you're all good. Just talk. You're
I'm trying
good.
to think. So now I'm working construction, going to school. I was in a nursing school. The Illinois National Guard was their infantry brigade was getting ready to do a big brigade size deployment in '08. And a buddy of mine that he went to the Army. He went to the 101st at the same time I was going to the Marine Corps. He was actually recruiting, and so he hits me up. He's like, "Hey, you know, why don't you come with us? We'll put you on a 2-year contract. I'll put you in my platoon, my infantry platoon, whatever." So I go in, doing the recruiter prior service chat, whatever. Well, actually, a guy that I went into the Marine with, he's also there recruiting for the guard, and finds out that I'm, oh, you're a nursing student. Yep. All right. Sign here. And I was like, all right, and I just want to go. And 6-year contract to be a Army medic. And after that, I was hooked. I stayed until July or August of '23. Yeah, that's when I was done. Was in July or August of '23. Um,
August
so
of 23. So, how many years total was that?
well,
To 23.
it's just over 24. I see. I don't know how to answer that because there was some time in there where they were put me in front of a med board, even though I wasn't serving. My time kept going, and even I didn't have to go to work every day, but my time kept clicking away. And so, anyways, they said, all right, we're not going to medically retire you. You qualify for regular retirement. So I don't know how much time I got added on to my 23 and a half years from that point. Um, so I right around 24 years total. Um,
Got a good question for you. What do you miss about the military? Good question.
I honestly I miss the connections with I miss the connections with the like a lot of the lower enlisted the camaraderie, the grab ass games that we did. You know, I honestly, believe it or not, I miss being a single Marine living in the barracks. And just your best friends live either in your room or on the same floor as you, and you're always there's always something going on, and there was always just this these dumb grab ass games, and there were does that make sense? Because then like
Oh yeah.
what a better place is the guys you work with who are your closest friends, and you guys are always together, and it's like this is the best world ever, and you're drinking beer and eating pizza all almost every night, and just having such a ball. And then I got the bright idea, and no offense to her if she's watching, but I'm gonna get married, and so you just went on a different path, and things changed in that manner. But I definitely say that that's one of my things that I do miss, or if I could have held on to that a little bit longer, that would have been good with me, cool with me. So, but yeah, I just miss the adventure. I just miss the camaraderie. Um, I don't miss the bullshit of of the command, and the hurry up and wait just to fill time bullshit.
Those are fun. I
But
hated those. Those. Oh gosh, I remember when I was basic training. Like we were, those cattle trucks that
oh yeah,
carry like a bunch of soldiers, and like because you got all your rucksack, your helmet, your weapon, your everything. Like gosh, we would get out there like an hour and a half before it even came, and like I'm like, okay, all right, well, this is 15 minutes to the 15 minutes to the 15 minutes, and then another 15 minutes.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that
absolutely.
was always fun, and I mean, man, if I could tell you, the best sleep I've ever had was in the military. The military was, oh gosh, like falling asleep with all the rucksack and everything around you, and you're waiting to go to your next stop, and you're like, hey, this is actually not that bad.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. That's one thing that I wish I could um, go back to is in the military. You slept when you could. You partied hard, but you slept when you were afford. And like there's times where even on ruck marches, where you're humping along, and then half a mile will go by, and you're like, oh, you're literally marching while you're sleeping. I've
I've
a
never got
couple times
upset.
where oh man,
I was more
it's
embracing the suck than anything with the work marches.
yeah,
Because I know like I so like on the back of my heels and stuff like that, I would get those like blisters and stuff. Oh my gosh, like and like
yeah.
it would hurt. But it's always how well you prepared for it than when you didn't prepare for it. When you didn't prepare for it, you're screwed.
Right.
So,
But that's the funny thing though is it. I mean, just think about, and you could talk to 99% of the vets out there that image of what it's raining, you're covered in mud, you're cold. Chow sucks. Chow. It was supposed to be hot chow, but it came out cold. Just miserable, and you're just like, f my life, and I want to be done. But those are the memories that we always end up
we
sharing and
savor it.
talking
Yeah,
about,
we
and we
savor
smile the
it.
biggest. And we smile the biggest when we're telling those stories. So funny stories, and I don't know if Chad's still in here. So I was on the Boxer, and we had just gone down 32nd Street, loaded everything up. We got did all the procedures to get on ship, and anyways, so we're getting underway and getting ready to take off under the Coronado Bridge. Which is, if you ever get a chance to go out to San Diego, go watch when the ships, one of the fleets are taking off, or they're running the train. No, they made it so high that all the ships can go goes on to Coronado Island, so it goes from San Diego to Coronado Island. But you go under there, and there'll be a couple people that'll stop and take pictures, or whatever. It's cool, but you're going through the bay, headed out to sea, and as Marines, we weren't manning the rails, so we weren't doing any dog and pony shows, or where you get in your dress uniform and go stand along the edge of the ship for a ceremonial departure. It's just like, all right, hey, put your gear in your bunk room, and then lay low and hide out for a little bit. So I'd been on ship before, and I got this smart ass idea where I'm like, I'm gonna just pack my little Zebco 303. I was messing with one of the newer guys. I was like, yeah, we're gonna get out to sea. We're gonna do some really good fishing, right? And go and stow the gear. I grabbed that fishing pole, this little Zebco 303, and I go sit, and they'd had the hatches on the side where just letting air in. And I'm sitting there, and it's just me, this chain, and this other Marine that happened to tag along, the safety chain, and I'm just casting out. All I had on it was the lead weights. I don't fish. I was just out there screwing around, and all of a sudden I hear this pretty booming voice behind me. Is like, "This is not a fishing boat, there, Marine, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh," and I said, "Well, I'm not catching anything anyways." Well, it was the command master chief of the boat, so it'd be the equivalent to the battalion sergeant major, or CSM for you, or brigade CSM for you. So he's the highest enlisted guy on the boat. So he catches me out there yeah, I'm just out there casting this 303. And yeah, it was like, oh, way to go, Harmon. You just spotlighted yourself. But yeah, I love, the little games that we played with each other. It wasn't hazing, but they were fun games. It was, I remember as a Lance Corporal, and this was my first time so I'm an E3, first time on ship. And I forget who asked me. They're like, "Hey, you need to go find Gunny." I'm like, "Okay, where's he at?" And they're like, "Oh, he's up grabbing chow." So I'm like, "Okay, where's that at?" They're like, "Oh, you got to go up to the Chief's mess and just find where it says Chief's mess. Open the door, go find Gunny, and then bring him down here." Me as a young E3, and I know Chad's laughing at this story because I don't know the protocol that when you're going into it, you have to be an E7 or above to go into the Chief's mess, and you gotta knock on the door and or the hatch, and ask for permission and whatnot. So I just throw open the door, walk in, and just like there's E7s, 8s, 9s, just yelling at me and just having a great time. Those are the type of stories where I was being, looking back, it sucked at the time because I knew I was being set up for this prank. But looking back, it's just like I remember that, and it built that camaraderie. I went back and was like, "You guys are a bunch of assholes for setting me up," but it is what it is. It's funny now. We'd send. I shared this story on one of my feeds before. So we get these young Marines coming in, and there's 20 of them, and so there's a little overwhelming when you're trying to process them all coming in to the company and whatnot. It's like, all right, hey, how many who here hasn't gone for their annual pap smear? And I'm in an all male battalion, right? Of when I was with Amtrak. So I'm like, hey, who hasn't gone for their annual pap smear? And there's like 4 or 5 of them raise their hand. I'm like, all right, you guys come here. Go up to BAS, which is the battalion aid station. Find Doc Roberts, who was a petty officer first class corpsman, that a buddy of mine, and he takes them in and he puts them in the stirrups and he's like, yeah, here's this whatever this alligator septum thing, and he's like, we're gonna, and so now so he's messing with them up there to kind of give me time to thin the herd a little bit so I could process these guys through. And anyway, so it's just dumb shit like that. But I guarantee you, and I don't remember those Marines' names that I sent that ended up going up there, but I guarantee you they remember that, that little joke. And they're probably on some podcast somewhere telling that same stupid story, But anyways, yeah, that I miss. Just making each other laugh and not having a care in the world, because it was just all about, when we were stateside, it was all about, uh, beer, girls, and pizza, and our spades games, and just doing guy stuff, and which translated, being in Afghanistan, it was just all about, it's about the connections, the between the two people that share the same uniform. Um, just building those memories. That I
Yeah, that's
miss.
definitely the biggest thing in life is developing.
What was your question? Did you ask it?
What was that? Yeah, that answered my question.
Did you ask the
Um,
question? Because you're like, all right, cool.
um, so yeah, those things are what make us like it's all that stuff is a part of our story, and especially those Marines are probably like, yeah, I remember that guy that sent me up there, and I didn't like it because if I'm not mistaken, passenger is
Oh
for a
yeah,
woman, right? Do you put them in the worst fucking
yeah,
point
yeah, yeah.
ever?
That's what I'm saying. So,
Oh my
right.
gosh,
But they're
that is
they're 18 years old, don't know better, and so they're just like, oh, hey, yes, Sergeant, I haven't done it, Sergeant, and off they go, and because they're just all excited and just whirlwind. But a lot
yeah,
of fun.
those are always amazing time, man. And oh gosh, like we always look back on that stuff and part of our stories and stuff like that, and just see like, those are the fun times. Those are amazing times. We're like, it sucked, but we don't want to. It's in our hearts now, and we look back at those days, and man, if I could tell you, like I wish I could have. So a little bit about my military career. I was actually last August, or no, January 31st night, or 2022 is when I got out. I didn't really want to get out, but mental health is a real thing in life, and so I was trying to get back in actually in 2023. Yeah, no, 24. Yeah, 24 last year, and yeah, so like. I got off like my medication in December of 2023, and they temporarily disqualified me, and I don't know if I'm gonna go back down that path. I don't know yet. I'm getting older, of course, 27 already, and just turned 27 January 31st. So it's I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm still because I didn't fulfill what I wanted to do in the military. I mean I served 6.5 years. I'm considered a veteran. But I feel like I could have did more. I could have had more definition to that, and I don't know. It's a hard thing. Sorry if I'm a little off today. I've been off a little bit today, and I've
No, no,
been
you're good.
just
Um,
trying to engulf everything, and
I
because
was just
like my life. What was that?
I was gonna say
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I've had lots of conversations with guys they're like, oh, I only did 4 years, or I only did 6 years, and I didn't deploy. And I've even talked to combat or Vietnam era. They're like, and they're almost ashamed of their service because they went to Germany. It's like, or they did something else, and I'm like, why are you ashamed? We needed people to do that stuff. Why don't ever sell yourself short for your because like I said, you can't help it. You could have been 2 weeks into basic and fallen down the flight of stairs and fractured your femur, and been your military career's over. And like, yeah, it sucks, but you just got to go, hey, I raised my right hand. I swore to defend the Constitution, and I'll do what I got to do. So I just encourage you not to don't sell yourself short. Yeah, it may have been disappointing, but there's a reason that there. If you were still in uniform, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And there's something else, for you that for us to do. And so that's why I encourage any vet that unless you did something completely stupid, and you earn a dishonorable discharge, then yeah, don't ever tell anybody you're a vet. Just go and hide in a corner somewhere. But other than that, own it and just say, yeah, because you got to look at it. There's less than, or it's just about 1% of the population actually has the balls to put their hand up and go, yes, I want to put this, I want to put this uniform on, and I want to serve. And but so Chad wants to know where you're at in your VA claim process.
Me?
Yeah,
Me?
because you're
I
100%
haven't.
now, right?
No, I'm not any 100% or anything like that. I don't even have a percentage. And my so I didn't do any deployments or anything like that. And I was more like, so it was more relationship that got me to a point of that and getting out of the military. And well, I'll just tell you, I've been saying it a lot today, and because I was at the pancake breakfast up in Sun Prairie, and I was talking to a lot of vets today. And I had pretty much how the story goes is I had a friend who lost a silent battle back in November of 2020, and started doing my motorcycle rides. And that kind of motivated me to keep going. And then the following year, after the first ride, this one is for you, which was to help out the family and stuff like that. The second one is where, like, my my healing started. And I had like
Sure.
40 sponsors and a month and a half of networking. And I talked to so many individuals throughout that time. And as much as I was talking about it, I was coming out about like all my other stuff. And there's times during that time where I was like, I was hurt. I didn't even know I was hurt. I was just sitting there. I thought I was fine and stuff like that. But when I started like breaking down, crying, and just getting to certain points, I was like, there's something bigger in this meaning that really meant to it. And not only putting on these suicide awareness rides and stuff like that. And I, like, 5 days later, I came out about November 2019. I came close to losing my silent battle. And that's what drove me to um, keep doing these rides. And just I had just having a purpose, and having this purpose in life that we just drive. And that thing doesn't define me anymore. And I mean, it still hurts, and don't get me wrong, like, the more I talk about it, I mean, the more I heal from it. And it takes a lot of time to heal. And and like I've been kind of feeling it this last weekend and stuff like that, and I've just been doing so much, and I've been so active, so talking to so many people, and if I could show you, if I could tell you the image I'm seeing right now, I'm like kind of like it's blurred. Like I'm just here. I'm moving forward. I'm getting everything to go, but like I mean I get spurts of that, and like now it's like it's hyperspeed. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going, and I hope it comes to the point where like I could just feel happy, and feel resolved in myself, and I'm trying to figure out that point in my life where like I'm just on it all the time, all the time, all the time, and it doesn't affect me, but it feels like it doesn't affect me, but somewhat there it's always does, and I still get like a withdrawal from reality, and reality is a little bit of a tough
Yeah.
situation,
Uh,
and
yeah,
especially
no, I
becoming
got it. And
more.
no, go ahead, finish.
Oh, I was just saying, like, with doing all this stuff and creating this ride and creating this stuff over the next year and a half that's going on, and these things, like, how much energy it took to go up to that point. 5 years later, I'm still trying to retract that energy, and I still haven't got over the
Yeah,
hump.
yeah.
This is what it is, what it takes. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to come out of it, and my situation is not far worse than a lot of other people, but like you getting into those circumstances in life, you gotta figure out, like, you just gotta understand that you got a purpose, you got a reason, you got something to do, to figure out, to be here, and don't give up because you say that
Right.
I don't need to be here. No, you got purpose. Everybody in this world has a story. Everybody in this world has a meaning to be here, and that's how life is, man. And I feel like the thing that ruined me the most, I don't want anybody to feel that. And I want people to see, like, hey, you got your life, live it to your means, and live it and understand that you know how to live it. So it's good, man.
Sure, and I'm gonna and I'm gonna say it this way, but I don't mean it in a bad way, because I truly are, you are truly fortunate that it only took you 5 years to get to the point where you're actually starting to talk about it. So I'll tell you, we got back. So I was in Afghanistan from the mid spring, early summer of '08 to September of '09. Um, I get back, and so, like, for me, February and all of February and up until about March 5th is just, this is the 6 weeks out of the year that I wish I could erase from the calendar, because what is going on with, somehow I got a puzzle piece on my screen. I don't know what it is, uh, but and anyways, they so get back in September, and things were good, and then things were not good. Like, I all of a sudden I started having really vivid bad memories of a situation that happened in Afghanistan. So, but but that February to March, that we lost a bulk of a lot of friends during that period of time, and then we finally get to the end of February, and it's just like, oh, we've gone 5 days without having to send somebody home in a body bag, and then I get a phone call that my grandmother had passed away from while she was in it's surgery, a routine surgery, and she just didn't wake up from the anesthesia. And that they'd been trying to get a hold of me for like 10 days. Um, through the Red Cross messages that never got to me. And anyway, so this stupid sat phone that I had to carry with me didn't never work. But we were sitting in a meeting, all of a sudden it starts vibrating, and I was just like freaking out. And pick it up, and it was my wife at the time, and she's like, "Hey, are you fucking coming home?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Your grandmother passed away," and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So now I'm mad because they didn't tell me, and we had just gone through this really hellacious time where we were had sent a lot of friends home in body bags. And So anyways, fast forward. So I don't come home for the funeral, FYI. But anyways, I come home in September, and life is good, things are going good, and then all of a sudden these uh, dreams start popping in, and they're really super intense. And I remember the time where it was the first time that I was awake, and I had a physical manifestation reaction to my environment. My daughter, who was I think she may have been 6 at the time, had put a hot dog in the microwave, and instead of hitting 30 seconds, she had hit 3 minutes. So this thing is in there just cooking and whatnot. And so I go into the kitchen trying to figure out what's going on, and just that smell. Well, that smell of that overcooked hot dog is the same exact smell as the burning flesh from the guys that I had to scrape out of the bottom of a Humvee to send home, respectfully. And I just remember that smell instantly took me back to there. And then, but in the dreams that parts of that gets a little distorted because the brain kind of rewires itself to protect itself. And so it's trying to, like, I didn't know until a couple years ago. I thought we had put those guys on helicopters. Well, I didn't realize that we had put them in the back of Canadian LAVs, and sent them off in vehicles. I thought we had put them on helicopters because that's in my memory and in my dreams. That's how it happened. But the one that really I could not, and the one that would wake me up to where I was, swinging and wanting to fight is as the Army medic. We'd see the Afghan population or whatnot, and there was a little girl that had come in, and she's got third-degree burns from her collarbones to the tips of her toes, and then from her wrists down. So just her face and her hands are the only thing that don't have these big blistered third-degree burns on, because she was crying, and the dad had picked her up and dipped her in this boiling water and whatever. So this girl, this Afghan girl, is about the same age as my little girl when I left on this deployment. So now, in my dream, for years, it wasn't this Afghan girl getting dipped. It was my daughter, and it was just this. I was waking up so pissed off and fighting, and I was scratching. I'd wake up and I'd have scratches all over my chest and my face and whatnot because I'm fighting, trying to kill this dude, this guy, this person that just did this to his daughter. But now in my dream, he's doing it to my daughter, and I'm trying to fight my way to get to him. And so just that fear of not being able to protect her, and then the guilt of not being able to protect that girl, that little girl in Afghanistan. Just obviously I wasn't there when he did it. I got the after result, but I wanted to shoot this dude in the face. Like, I was that mad that they actually pulled me. They pulled me off to the side, and they're like, "Hey, you cannot retaliate this way." So there was just this huge conflicts. And so, we come back, and now back in September, this is sometime in the middle of October, Halloween was coming up, and, I was starting to come out of that honeymoon phase about being home. I've been home about 4 or 5 weeks, and so now it's starting to get into the day-to-day routine, and whatnot. And these dreams are starting to get more and more intense. And I just remember sitting, and I was home alone. I remember I was home alone, and I remember that the image of me, how I was going to end my life, just kept playing over and over and over in my head, to where I just couldn't get it out. Like, even during the day, if we were having a conversation, you'd ask me, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm good." But that image was still going on in my head, and it was just the location changed, but the image and how I was going to do it. And so, anyways, this one day, and it was right around Halloween, uh, and I was home alone, and I was sitting in the bedroom, and pull it out. Right, I do what I got to do to get one in the stovepipe. I know for TikTok rules, I can't talk about some of the details. But the right angle, the right depth in my mouth, everything, and I was done. Like, I could not handle having that image in those dreams anymore. I was done. And then all of a sudden, like, right at that last, God damn it,
Hey,
at that
hey,
last moment, right? I mean, I'm talking, probably 4 pounds on a 5 pound trigger, and is already on there. I hear this voice from down the hall, and it's my little girl, and she's like, "Daddy's home, Daddy's home." She's all excited, and it was just enough that it snapped me out of what I was doing, and I was more embarrassed about her finding me than I was about what I was doing. And so I hit it. Like, I didn't talk about it to anybody for years. And so then I went back to just, all right, I'm gonna keep it under control. Keep it under control. Uh, so now that takes us into the spring of 2010. I get picked up for another. Now I'm getting picked up because I'm a combat medic that has experience. There's a specialized mission going off for 11 and 12. And they're like, "Yep, we'd like to take you on your experience." I've got to do the waiver to go. We end up in Kunar, Providence, which is northern Afghanistan, for that deployment. And so now I've got a mission. Now I'm focused. I'm laser focused on. I've got to get ready for this mission. And while I'm on the mission, I'm taking care of. I'm doing my job, and I'm laser focused again. So I can kind of distract myself from all of that stuff. I'm still having the nightmares. I'm still having all that stuff, but I was able to, gut through it. Come home at the in April of 12. And then then it goes back to where, all right, now I'm back at stateside. Life sucks. It's starting to creep in again. I happen to be out just walking in the woods that I grew up in, on the farm, and I'm just walking around, and I get to that same breaking point, where I'm just like, I can't deal with this. I cannot deal with it. I was good when I had a mission. I was good when I had a purpose, and I was getting ready to go, or when I was deployed. But now I'm back, and I'm like, now what? Now what? What's my purpose? And I remember I was sitting there, and I was getting everything ready, and I was, I'm kind of coaching myself through how exactly I'm going to do everything. And I'm out in the woods, so it's going to take people a while to find me because they don't really know I'm out here. And so I don't have to worry about any of the kids finding me, all this stuff. And then I start having this internal dialogue argument with myself, going, "What the hell are you doing, dude? Like, you fought to bring your guys home. You fought to, to be around and did all these things to come home to your kids, but yet you're gonna go out like that." So then and there is when I made that promise to myself. I was like, never again. I don't care how bad it gets. But I still wasn't right, and but I was still getting the 2, 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls. Hey doc, I'm dealing with this and I'm dealing with that, and hey, can you meet me? I need to go to the hospital, but I want you there. And so, now I'm driving, meeting guys that I deployed with because I'm still taking care of my guys. And, so I still had some kind of a mission at that point. Um, then, then 2020 hit. And so for 75 days, I'm locked in my house, me and two dogs, and I'm answering like 3 emails a day and maybe 2 phone calls, and that's my world. I got no human interaction. I got no other than the people at Walmart when I go and do curbside pickup for my groceries. That was and but there was no connection. There was no human contact there. And all that stuff that I had worked hard to keep all nice and neat and packed away and under control, just like a jack in the box, it just bing, sprung out everywhere. And, and now I'm talking to some of the guys I deployed with, and we're talking, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm not good. And they're like, what? And I go, I've been so focused on everybody else that I wasn't taking care of me. And so then that's when that was the first time I actually analyzed the fact that I was not good. And so I checked around. There was a guy that came highly recommended that worked for the vet center down in Springfield. I call it. Well, they weren't doing in-person counseling at that time because everything was shut down due to COVID. So we're trying to do some video conference counselings and whatnot. So yeah, so that's why I said what I said earlier, that you're fortunate that it only took you 5 years to get to that realization that you're not good. Here I'm 9 to 19 is 10, but so I'm like 15 years into all this stuff being packed up, or I guess 12 years of all this stuff being all nice and neat and packed away in the back and locked away. And now it's coming out, and it came out like a floodgate. Like it was, all this stuff that I had no idea where these emotions were, and or where all this stuff was, and it didn't stop the dreams. It didn't stop the anxiety or the depression or any of that stuff. But at least it allowed me to recognize, hey, I need to find people like Chad and a couple other, I think he's still in here, Chad, and a couple other guys that are close to me to hold me accountable, that give me a reason to connect, and that bond again, to where it's like, all right, cool, we're gonna check on each other, we're gonna do these things, but it also it it took me another 5 years to finally give myself permission to tell the story publicly, which I just did last year, and it was the first time my daughter or any of my kids had heard that story, and so I didn't name. So I get a phone call, and it's my daughter, and she's like, "Dad, were you talking about me?" I'm like, "Yeah, baby, that was you. You saved me by coming down the hall and not being like, if she would have tried to sneak in, or I hadn't heard her, So now she and I have connected and gotten closer because of those conversations. But keep doing what you're doing, though. The more we talk about it, and I encourage people that even if you're not a vet, PTSD comes in many forms. Depression comes in you don't have to have served in order to get PTSD or depression or anxiety. Their mental health is a serious thing that's out there. But we gotta remove the stigma of that it's it's a bad word to talk about. That it's we've got to stop with the labeling of you're damaged because you have these issues. You gotta and whatnot. But I will tell you, and I really didn't mean to Shanghai this portion of the show, but the one thing that I will tell you though is what's hardest about it is finding that core group of people that you trust, 100% trust, that you can be vulnerable to them, share all your deep dark, all the garbage that we're holding on to and hiding, that we can give it to them and let them know, and they're not going to judge us about it, and they're not going to use it years down the road to win an argument, and they're not going to label us or feel pity for us about it. Because there's nothing worse than guys like us that then it's like, oh, okay, let me, and we're being coddled now. It's like, no, we don't need to be coddled. We just need you to understand. I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to understand. I need to be able to confide in you without you running your mouth to the neighbors down the street telling people how messed up I am. I need to be able to trust you with my deep dark secrets that and most importantly, know that you're going to pick up the phone at 3:00 in the morning when I'm having thoughts and nightmares that I can't control. And so that's where I tell people, I said, if you've got more than five people in your inner circle that you can have these open and honest conversations with, you need to reevaluate who's in your inner circle. Because if you, and I'm telling you, it's hard to gain that trust and to have people that are not going to go, okay, yeah, come to me. Lips are sealed. I won't tell anything. But guess what they're doing when they're on Friday night when they're at the bar? They're like, oh, I talked to Joe, and he's really messed up, and blah blah blah. They don't need to know what's going on inside my head. You know what I'm saying? So that's where having these conversations and getting people to actually listen and understand, but not fix. We don't need to be fixed. We just need people to understand. So what do you got? I need a break so I can stop crying here, because that was a little more than I anticipated.
I'm just sitting here trying to God.
Think about what you're going to say, but I'll one more point, right? So we've talked about the inner circle and that trust and whatever, and but to go back to the judgment piece, right? So there was I was in an event, and it was kind of like a medieval times event, right? And there were some pyrotechnics that the waiter had said, hey, there's going to be some pyrotechnics, whatever. And I said, all right, we're good, right? So at least I was aware that there was going to be some fireworks going off it would have been to about my 2:00 position from where I was sitting. But as the show's going on, I'm starting to get tense, because our king, we were Ireland, and so I'm watching, and he gets killed in the arena, during this medieval times display and fight, right? And so I'm starting to tense up. I don't know I'm doing it. I'm getting this information from people that were there with me that were like, yeah, we could tell you were starting to get tense and whatnot. And the culminating event to this display at this medieval times type show is there's a big dragon that flies across, and it comes in, and as it swoops across the arena, there's out its nose comes these fireworks that they're spiraling across, that it's going to kill the remaining knights that are out there ready to slay this dragon. That's what everybody else in the arena saw. What Josh saw was he looked off, saw something dark coming out of the corner, and it was two RPGs that were coming at his Humvee, and I'm like trying to break away because the table, and I'm fighting because I wasn't at that show. I was back in Kandahar City when we got ambushed, and there was RPGs getting shot at our vehicles, and that's all I saw. And I could smell the dirt from Afghanistan. I could smell, all the smells and the taste, and just the air tasted different when you're in that high stress environment. That's all I was at. And the family that was sitting next to me, they're starting to slide down, and they're stacking kids up and moving away. And there's other people that were saying, hey, somebody call security, he's freaking out, and this and that. All of that to say that some of the people that I were with were like instantly in my face once I snapped out of it, going, you ruined this show for those people around you. You ruined our night because of this, and that. And so they're judging me for something I got no control over. And so that's what I'm saying, that if people understand and they're not going to judge, and they're not going to hold, hopefully that comes across the way I wanted it. It's like you've got to have that group that you trust, that aren't going to judge you if you do have those physical manifestations. There's other ones, but those are the two extremes. The first one was the overcooked hot dogs, and then that one where I was, like I said, that wasn't a dragon coming. That was, two enemy combatants on a rooftop shooting RPGs at my vehicle. That's where I was at, in my mind physically. And so I was, shaking the table and trying to fight my way, so I was free to engage the enemy. That's where I was going back with that trust. Trust those who are around you, especially if you're prone to, or you think that there's a possibility of having those physical manifestations. But again, it doesn't have to be wartime trauma. I couldn't imagine the trauma that comes with. I understand it working in the medical field. I understand it medically. I have empathy for it, but I can't understand what's going on inside somebody's head that was sexually assaulted, and especially a child, that has no concept of sex, a bad car accident, whatever. But if whatever event happens that's traumatic enough that your brain starts rewiring itself, join the club, but find people that to put in that core group that you can trust with it, and talk about it, and be vulnerable with. That's my only advice when it comes to that. And I am not a psychiatrist or a social worker or anything. I'm just talking my experience, and what I was going through. So
Your story, man. I've been trying to think over, just listening to your story, trying to figure out what to say. I have my own, and I have the type of stuff that's there, but it's hard for something I want to, compare, but it's very minuscule. It's very, very minuscule, and
but that doesn't make it any less significant. I mean,
that is true.
whether yours is oranges and mine's apples, we're still fruits. We still have, it's not we're not in a fishing competition, or we're not trying to one up each other. It's just, recognizing it. And that's why I said, now that that you've been able to identify it and recognize it early, you're miles ahead of where other people are. And I know guys that served, and some that didn't serve, that they still haven't even got to the point where I'm at, and they're further along their down the road than and that they're just so hell bent on choking it down, and nope, I'm going to deal with it with whiskey and cocaine. That's and hopefully it works for you, but eventually you're going to have to come to the realization that you're going to have to face it. So.
And just wanted to say like that, like the reason why I was having a struggle trying to say something was because like I was not only crying too, it was like, dude, like this reminded me of just like why I'm doing this, why I have this reasoning behind Your Story Matters, and what impact can come out of it, because it could come out of these stories that people are like, okay, they see that in public and they're like, wow, okay, all right, from this situation, seeing what he said, maybe I can react better. Maybe I can react better to understand those different situations and stuff like that, and be understanding of our vets and what they have went through, and stuff that is just really, really hard to talk about. And I feel like talking about this is what makes people stronger mentally and physically. And I was at a loss of words when you just told me your story just like that. Like I was at a loss of words because like I was comparing, thinking in my head of how I went when I was going through that, that trauma stage, and like that relationship. I did so many fucking things that really, like, I there's a lot of nights I woke up like screaming out of my fucking mind, man. And like I was doing these things to myself, and I wasn't understanding the how badly what it destroyed me inside, and those trauma responses, like that's what I felt. And I'm sorry.
No, you're good, bro. Go.
But this just reminds me of the reason why I do this is because of people like you, people like that have went through this stuff, and it reminds me of how much of an impact on it, but it also helps me to understand, like, okay, I went through this stuff, and this is actually my settle to that storm, helping other people to come out and talk about it. That's my settle to my storm, to resolve that situation within myself. And like, and I'm sure you're probably gonna have to take some time. I take my time as well after some of these podcasts and stuff like that, to just take a breath and feel the moment, and you get this blurry vision of yourself a little bit, and you said all that stuff, and it comes back on you because you said it, and it wears you out. Because like I'll be honest with you, like I'll be thinking about this a lot, and this, like I said, this makes me feel compassion and love and understanding. Like, this is what I love to do. This is why I created Your Story Matters, created these rides, and to maybe be some of a positive light in someone's path, no matter where they're at in their life, and just have an understanding that there is purpose, there is reasoning. Don't give up. Don't lose it. Don't, it's those things, as we're in those moments, in those moments of where like we're like, you don't want to live anymore. And I don't care if TikTok, whatever, I don't care. You're in these moments of that, and you're like, it's a you versus you battle, and the only thing that's going to get you out is a positive reflection. What positive reflections are those? It was your daughter. Me, it was this tattoo. This tattoo told me that night, as I was thinking through all that numbness and just all that stuff that is just telling me, oh, I don't want to be here anymore. I look down. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? I don't need to do this shit. I don't need to. No, like, I don't need to let this happen. And I have a
Yep.
reason to push forward. And telling that story, I feel like people are like, wow, like you're so strong coming out about that. You're not weak. And I feel weak, but I need to get over that hump and say that I'm strong for doing that. I'm strong for understanding myself because I gotta love myself. You gotta love yourself. That's how you strengthen your armor, strengthen the person you are, is by loving yourself and understanding that we all have these different situations in our life. It's a part of our story, my story, part of your story. Our stories collide, our stories come together, and that's what makes an epic, like an epic story, you know, and combining all these stories and talking about it and bringing it out and understanding that we have this long path of a journey. We have this long path of where life is going, and we don't know where it's going to go, but it's always that thrill of we got a place to be. We just have to figure out where to go and figure out what we love to do. And I don't know, man. This is my passion.
Yeah.
This is what I love to
No,
do.
and you're absolutely right. I mean, what you're doing is phenomenal. And you know, some of the other non-for-profits that I'm involved with, they're doing good stuff. I'll tell you that one of the things that comes up most frequently when I'm talking to other vets that you know are in similar situations is we're just tired of getting the you know the pill bottle cocktail just to get us by, you know, and it's like, no, we want some actual real healing. We need to be able to, you know, to be able to look this and it's about perspective too, because I went into this thinking I need to beat this. I need to destroy this demon. I need to take control of this demon, and um, and then I read something somewhere where it was, and it kind of changed the perspective on it. It's like, no, that demon is part of who you are. You just need to make that demon your bitch. You need to let that demon
Love it.
fuel where you're going. You know, remember where you've been, but um, but keep moving forward. So it's all about perspective. But I think for me, one of the worst parts of the you know the mental side of this battle is the relationships that were hurt on it. You know, I there's more than one time where I had a death grip on you know my wife at the time, and just and snapping out of it, right, you know, where I'm just like, oh my god. And so I was so scared. I was scared to fall asleep because I didn't want to hurt her. I was so scared to fall asleep because I didn't want one of the kids to come in and, you know, oh, we're gonna go surprise dad and jump on, you know, jump scare me or whatever, and me hurt them. So it caused this distance where relationships were getting broke down, and and it's, and again, it's across the board where, you know, we have to put those barriers of protection for those that we care about. You know, and even though it hurts, but yet, you know, we do that. And I will tell you that the hardest person for me to like, the one person that I probably hate the most is the man in the mirror, because I feel, you know, the guilt of the broken relationships and this and that and some of the other stuff. But I also have given myself permission to allow myself you know, go, it's okay that you're broke. You know, it's okay that, you know, you're dealing with these things, but tomorrow you're going to be better, and then the next day. And but like guys like Chad and some others that are out there, because he's back. There are some strong individuals that it's like, hey, I want to be around you because of the strength that you give me just from your presence. And so now it kind of builds that the confidence that we go through. And now imagine doing the stuff that we've going through the stuff that we've just been talking about, and you're battling homelessness, you're battling chemicals and substance abuses, you're battling other things that just escalate this. And so there, like I said, there's a couple organizations that I work with, and I'm going to do a shameless plug for them right now. But so like Patriot Services Group, which is headquartered out of Jacksonville, Florida, their primary focus is finding housing, adequate housing for at-risk vets. So vets that deal with the mental issues, or they don't, maybe they don't qualify for a traditional financing, or their credit sucks, so they can't get into an apartment. Well, how are they going to get help if they're living on the street? So if now they have this home base, so that's an organization. One of the organizations that I'm very intimately involved in is Operation Zero. So it's all the statistics we've been talking about, the 22 a day, working to get that to zero. And so there's that one. And then Miles for Zero, which is the not-for-profit that we just started last year. And we're collecting miles on our motorcycles. So it's a collection of miles to get that number zero. So that's the purpose behind why we ride. We ride, I ride, and those that like Chad and some of the others that are out there, we ride for those that can't ride anymore, those that aren't here to ride. We ride to bring awareness to, whether they lost to the their fight with the demons, or they were killed in action, MIA, POW, MIA, whatever category they're in. We ride for a purpose, and so that's some of one of the things that and I don't know about for me, I get claustrophobic when I'm in a car or a truck or whatever. I couldn't let anybody else drive because I had to have control, and I was white knuckling every time I got in the car because it was I didn't want it to blow up around me, and so I felt that if I had the control, when I'm on two wheels, we call it wind therapy for a reason. There is this therapy of the freedom, and I'm getting the and so there are dangers in it, but the shit that we went through is way more dangerous than that. So all that to say, I know Ty just popped in here too. He's doing some really good stuff, but it's that network of veterans that are, bonding together outside of uniform to make a difference, so that those kids that are going in today, those ones that are, standing on the yellow footprints or up at Great Lakes, going to boot camp, or, Fort Jackson or whatever they're calling it today, that are going in. So in 20 years, when they're done, we've already established a path for them to not have to deal with it. We're pushing back on the VA. The VA is not the easiest to navigate. If there are vets out there that are listening right now, I encourage you, hey, DM me. I've got a contact list of people that can help navigate that. Reach out to your VSOs. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing. I really, you've got my support. I didn't realize that I'd been following you for about a year and a half on Facebook through your other ride page that you got on there.
Annual suicide awareness prevention range. Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
didn't want
looked
to
it up
say
a
it.
long time ago. Because, like, I mean,
Yeah.
you know Canines for Veterans, right? Michael Tellerino?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I know
so
the organization, but
yeah, so like we did one for them or a ride for them, and that was a We Are in This Together ride, and we raised like $3,400. And I've talked to so many people, and yeah, like it's coming around where it's like people are like, oh, whoa, I've seen you before, I know you, but I just can't put a name to it yet.
right.
So, but it's crazy how we met. We met here on TikTok. This is like
Right.
we met here on TikTok, and
But I've been following you on Facebook for a year and a half. Didn't know,
yeah.
and I know people that were from like your old readiness NCO is a friend of mine, and so like
Sergeant Reese?
so like we've had these connections. No, Jess Starnes.
Oh yeah, Jess Styrens. Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Sergeant Reese. If you knew him, that was the guy that I called that day when I was needing help.
I did know him too, but like that's crazy. So, but yeah, just keep doing. We got to keep doing what we're doing, and even though we're not wearing the uniform, we're still in the fight. We're still fighting for our fellow vets and those that are still in uniform. So that's why I'm saying you know earlier when you were saying that I don't not to belittle it, but it's like I only did 6 years or whatever it was, and I wanted to do more, and I didn't feel. Bro, you're still out here fighting you're still in the fight. You're still in the mission, conducting the mission. It's just a different uniform. So I encourage you.
I always love saying it, and I don't know if you do it, but did you remember I'm an American soldier speech?
Yeah.
Do you still know it to this day?
I not by heart. It's been a minute, but
here you go. I'm an American soldier. I'm a warrior member of the team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values. I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I am disciplined, physically, mentally tough, trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills. I will always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself. I'm an expert and I am a professional. I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the enemies of the United States of America. I'm the guardian of freedom and the American way of life. I am an American soldier. I live by that
and you
shit.
got the warrior ethos in there, and yeah.
Yep.
So,
that's like the most amazing fucking quote ever. I always love wrapping this up like this and asking, give me one piece of motivation or one piece of advice that is motivational to you that would impact others.
Actually, I kind of go back to one of there's a quote that was going around. I got to remember exactly how it is that even though I'm facing the darkest part of the day, the sun will rise in the morning. And so it's bringing. So even though we are, at our darkest, that there's hope that that daylight is coming. But for me, what it really boils down to is it's the perspective on things. Because how many times have we said, "Oh, I'm having a shitty day. I'm having the worst day of my life," right? But are we really having it? It may be an hour or a 15-minute period of that 24-hour day that might just be shitty. But why are we allowing that 1 hour to ruin the other 23 good hours that we had? You know what I'm saying? And so, it's just about perspective, and how I just really wish we could take a lot of the emotional BS that out of relationships, and because we could accomplish a whole lot more if we don't have all these all these emotions in there. That's an example I used in one of my podcasts before. Is you seen that movie Inside Out, that Disney Pixar movie, I think, whatever it is, where it's
I don't think I've had time to watch that one yet.
anyways, there you've got the emotions in her. Like you go inside this little girl's head, and so then, but it's all her emotions are in there, anger and joy. Joy was the only positive. There was 5 emotions, but joy was the only a positive one. And then there's these 4. There's other emotions in there that had these negative connotations to or feelings. But why is it we're only displaying one positive emotion? And then why are we allowing them to control us? So, anyways, there's a whole bunch of different analogies on that, but it's just really boils down to what our being able to change our perspective and go, yes, this is not the worst day of my life. This is just a very bad 15 minutes of this day that I have to deal with, and then I'm going to leave it at the door and keep going. So
that brings it into. That's why this is Your Story Matters, where you can leave the bullshit at the door and be you.
Right on. So, hey guys, I really do just want to say what Sean's doing and how we connected, and I support him. Go, double tap that screen, show him some love. Go and follow him, and seek him out. So he's got the Your Story Matters here on TikTok, and then he's also on Facebook. If you want to plug your Facebook page and your organization there, this is actually his show. I'm just here. I shanghaied it for a little bit, but
I hope I get all the video. That's what I hope to do.
But just keep doing what you're doing. We'll stay in touch, and I'm sure this is not going to be the last TikTok or live that we do.
No, it will not be. I think, like you said, like earlier, you want to do some future things, and I feel like we'll bounce off each other a lot and improve each other as we go throughout this thing, and we'll be going back and forth at it, and I'm excited to see what comes out of it, and especially the ride coming up, like 5 different Harley Davidsons, 5 different rides all in one day. There is so much support behind it. I mean, at the CVMA thing earlier today, amazing. They were like, wow, this is like crazy. Like, I got with one of the state reps, and he was like, dude, this is like fucking awesome. And he was like, I sit down with them. I go to all 4 in Milwaukee in March. So I go to all their meetings in March. So, and I'll be starting putting together teams.
We'll stay in touch for that. Well, if you will, one last thing. So here in Illinois, hopefully you guys can see it. So we have in Marseilles, Illinois, is the wall. So this is the Middle East Conflicts Wall Memorial. So it's the only wall in the United States that is federally recognized, but it's the only wall that has all 8,034 names of service members that were killed in the Middle East. But June 21st, and I'll try and figure out a way. Maybe I'll post this on my TikTok. It's just a picture. But June 21st, we do a ride just to honor them. So if you guys are in the area, it's well worth it. Come show your support. If you've never been there before, reach out, because it can be a little overwhelming when you go there the first time and you see, I think there's 18 panels now. And you see the names of guys, people you served with, or you knew, or you went to high school with. It can be a little overwhelming. So, reach out, and either myself or somebody will be there to, so you don't do it alone, because we shouldn't do any of this alone. Healing is not an alone activity. So that's it. I'm done with the shameless plugs.
And then what I'm going to say, I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to be like, so thank you for watching episode 3 of Your Story Matters, where you can leave the bullshit at the door and be you. And Josh, I want to say thank you very much for coming on and being an impact.
Absolutely, Sean. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
I'll give you a call after this, man.
All right. Peace out. Thanks, guys.
Arian, happy birthday. I'm sorry. We actually just got done with our third episode of the podcast, and that was Josh. It was amazing. If you're in here earlier, you missed some really good stuff, and it'll be out on YouTube and stuff like that. So definitely check it out. And happy birthday again. You have a good day, man. Live it up there in Korea, man. I'm gonna get off here. By the way, I gotta get some stuff done and enjoy the rest of my Sunday. So have a great day.